Hey everyone, it's Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I'm excited to share another fall project. I believe this is number 3. Maybe it's 4. I can't remember. Either way, I am documenting our shows and movies that we watched last fall. And I originally, when I put this together, I honestly thought I had more shows than I actually did. So I had pulled out a 2x2 page protector and I was going to use that and have fun filling in the pockets with die cuts. But it turned out to be like way too many pockets for me to have to fill in, and I didn't want to do that. I also wanted to mention that the kit I used was a kit my friend Erica made last year, and I really loved it. And I especially love the little ghost with a TV and a little remote. Like, that sold me. I was like, I have to have this kit. So that's one of the comments that I got on my October daily video the other day. I think one of the favorite parts for me is this project kind of gives me the permission to use whatever kit I feel like when I'm making my daily pages. So if I feel like using an Allie Edwards kit, great, I'll use that. Mandy Ford, great, I'll use that. So that's one of the things I love about this project, is just being able to pick the kit that I feel works best with my photos and just mixing it all in to make one big pot of, stories. So that kind of answers that question. And now you can see I am on round 2 of trying to figure out the TV show's layout. So I cut the pocket and made it just 2 rows. And I also still have the page on the left-hand side. I took a piece of the purple pattern paper, put it down at the bottom along with a washi strip. I also wanted to make sure that I put that die cut scene with the ghosts and the TV right in the middle, along with some stamps and ScrappinHappyStudio flares. And I'm just kind of placing things, trying to figure out how I want to make this work, because I don't mind filling in the pockets. I mean, sometimes that's fun, right? To fill in the pockets with little embellishments or, whatever. But there's just too many, and there's just too much empty space. And so I was like, you know what? I'm making this too complicated on myself. I'm just going to do a row on the top and a row on the bottom, and I think that's all I wound up doing. And then I'll just use my stamps and the die cuts to kind of fill in and make a little scene in the middle, along with my ScrappinHappyStudio flares. And I will also use stickers to spell out OCT, short for October, right? And then shows. Keeping it simple, right? Sometimes we overthink things, right? And we don't need to overthink things. It would have been great if I had a lot of shows, to put in the page protector, but I didn't. So, oh well, that's okay. I also grab a ruler to make sure everything is aligned, because I'm forever misaligning things. But you know what? It adds to the handmade touch. Let's just say that. So last year, one of the shows we really loved, or my daughter and I especially loved, was a baking show, and I'm putting that down up in the left-hand corner. It was like Halloween baking, and it was so much fun to watch. We also really enjoyed The Masked Singer coming back. And then there's just a few other shows I have down at the bottom. And I have some Everyday Explorers stamps picked out that I can add as well. So in the end, 3rd try, I got the design that I really wanted, and I was able to use the pieces that I really wanted to use, which definitely included the ghost TV scene right in the middle, and that as kind of the focal point. So that worked out perfect. And again, this is one of like 4 different kits that I used in this album throughout the year, but I love it. I love it. It makes like I said a little bit ago, a mixed cauldron of different pieces, and it makes me so happy. And I also use a ton of different formats too as I am making my different pages. So I am spelling out shows, and since I wanted the S to be in a certain spot, I made sure that I started with S and then just did the word backwards. And fun fact, I don't know if you guys do this, but whenever I do a word backwards, I have to write it down on a piece of paper, and that way I can double check, okay, I'm getting the right letter, I'm pulling the right letter, and that way I just don't mess it up, because I know I'm going to mess it up somehow. So I have to have it on a piece of paper. getting out my black ink so I can go ahead and stamp the different phrases. I have this show, just one more episode. I'm also going to stamp Currently Obsessed up at the top for above the Hocus Pocus. And then I have a circle stamp that's going to go right next to the TV. And I think that one says Must See TV. Also added a cute little happy smiling face, and now the last step for this page is just to add in the flare that I wanted to have. And I went going with just one flare, and it's like a bucket of popcorn. Gonna add some double-sided adhesive tape and then add it right next to the smiley face. And I could have gone with two, and I thought about two, but that way I could kind of make a visual triangle with my flares, but in the end, just one will work just fine. And then I can put it into the album and show you, and then I'll move on to the second part of the TV shows. There was two kind of standout shows and movies for us during this season, and so I wanted to put those on kind of a separate insert. We did School of Good and Evil. My husband and I watched that. I mean, it's not necessarily the best movie, but it was something my husband and I watched, and it had a great movie poster, and I had a good idea for how to decorate the insert. So I went ahead and got a big photo of it, and then I'm just going to frame it in with this Everyday Explorers Vine stamp set. And then a favorite show is on the back called Mr. Midnight, and the whole concept of the show is really spooky. The whole image of the show is really spooky. And I'm glad that I documented it. In between the vines, I went ahead and put some flowers to add to the overall theme. And I love how it turned out. I love using stamps and finding different ways to tell my stories with my stamps. And I didn't feel like adding a review to that movie. I think I'm going to go back and stamp a sentiment, but that's it. I am going to add a review to the Mr. Midnight. As you can see, the kind of image I found is off to the right. It's totally spooky. And this show was borderline something I couldn't watch because I'm a scaredy cat. But I was able to watch this with my husband, and I'm going to decorate the edge of it just like I did for the movie, and use all kinds of different Everyday Explorers stamps to kind of cover the edge. And I have like an X in red. I also have a scattering of stars that I'm going to do in gray. And then I'm going to get out a spooky face that matches this spooky face, and just have all kinds of fun with my stamps and documenting this very spooky show. And I think it actually has some sort of cultural references to the place where it took place. I can't remember the location, but I think there is some factual, real folklore from the place that this show takes place. I hope that makes sense. So that part made it very interesting. But there was only one season that I know of, which is unfortunate that it didn't come back. I also stamped up at the top, this show Can't Stop Watching, and I wound up using a piece of paper to adhere that, and just adding in some different sparkles. I did like a sparkle silver ink just to add a little extra, and I also stamped some sparkles in red since it's such a bold cover. And I stamped Currently Obsessed, and I'm going to write in a little review about the show. And I said that my husband always tends to find really great shows to watch, and this show is about a group of teenagers who save all kinds of supernatural occurrences. Like, they can figure out that there's a supernatural occurrence and they're able to stop it. And the show combines horror, spooky, fantasy, and a little bit of teenage drama, and we were really enjoying it. It was very interesting. And then I added another flare from ScrappinHappyStudio that says Admit 1, and then just put it off to the side. I'm also going to grab some old embellishments that are enamel dots and some X's to add to this page as well, just to the corners. And I just love it. It's so fun. That's kind of another part of October Daily that I love, is just playing, using my supplies, whatever I have on hand, to make the stories come together. So you can see I'm just adding a little bit of the enamel dots and some X's from my drawer. And then this page will be complete. I do need to go back to the movie and add in a stamped phrase. like I said, I didn't feel like adding a review. I could have like looked it up, but you know what? This is my album and I can do what I want, right? I sound like one of my kids, but yes, I can do what I want. And now that I have this all decorated, I can put it back in the album. Oh, and I added in some Nuvo drops since I ran out of orange enamel dots. And I also finished my review off camera. I think I needed to look up something or jog my memory about the show. But either way, I do have the synopsis all finished. And I also lost the little remote, so I went back and added the little remote in there and the phrase that I wanted to add on the front of this movie, which is "There's magic in the air." And then all my shows and TV stuff is documented for October, and I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing these pages come together. I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.